Hey everybody, welcome back to this part, and Mike's staying behind the camera an extra 2 seconds because we actually did this part already, but the camera just stopped. Is it working now?
Yeah, now it's working. To be sure.
She does a double take.
I'm going to do double takes from now on to be precautious.
So, I'm going to go through these books again. AVX Consequences #3 with Tony Stark or Iron Man on the cover. However, in this book, it doesn't focus on Iron Man really at all. Most of the AVX Consequences so far are focused on Scott, on the Cyclops. And he wants to fix Kunlun. He's talking to Lee Kun. He's like, let me stay, let me fix things. He's like, what, with your science? He's like, didn't your science cause trouble the last time? How do you know it's going to work this time? And he's explaining, he was trying to understand the Phase Force, but now it's easy. It's like putting bricks back together. And he's like, no, it's okay. You deal with your problems and your damages, and we'll deal with ours on our own. Then it goes back to Scott where he's being attacked, and of course, because Scott knows how to fight, he doesn't die. We all know he knew he wasn't going to die. And then my favorite 2 pages was Kitty Pryde talking with Emma Frost, and they exchange remarks back and forth. But the ending was the best, where Kitty's like, "We've got so much in common. I don't understand why you're so upset." And she's like, "What? Both of our men turned out to be idiots?" She's like, "The only difference is I was smart enough to walk away. I was smart enough to know when to leave. But I'm bummed." And then in Scott's talking to Jake about the new school. He's like, when you finish, you really should, when you get out of jail, you should go to this school. He's like, are the teachers good? And he's like, at what they do? The best. So now they're trying to make Scott out to be a sort of good guy again. And that's kind of, And then Wolverine is talking with Cap and the rest of S.H.I.E.L.D., and he's like, he's still playing some kind of game, and he's not going to tell us anything, and we should yank it out of his head. And they're like, the only person we could trust is now dead. There's no other telepaths. All the other telepaths were working with Scott, so how do we know they're telling the truth? So they're kind of at a loss. And then Magic actually gives Storm the location of where Colossus is, and she's like, you should really turn him in. And Storm's kind of left thinking about it. And then we get 2 pages of Hope leading a normal life. However, she's still stuck on Cable. She wants to know where Cable is, and she's like, I think, what would my dad do? Because she considers Cable her dad. And she's like, I think he'd find out where the hell he is. And then apparently Scott has somebody on the outside that wants to help break him out. Except he says, no, I don't want to be broken out. And the person's like, understood. We don't know who it is yet. We all know that Scott's going to break out by the end of this miniseries. And he's like, right now, I have to be a prisoner. I'm a political prisoner. If I break out, that makes me a criminal, and I'm not going to be portrayed as a criminal. The end. I don't care what anybody says. I know a lot of people are against the whole miniseries that takes place after a major miniseries or a major event miniseries. This is good. This series is the way AVX should have been. Dare I say, it's even, and a lot of people are saying this, it is actually a lot better than AVX because it knows it's a 5-issue miniseries only. It's not 12. It's just 5. Each issue has its own point to get across, and it does it very well. And it's at a regular pace, and it knows it's going to be over in like 2 issues. It's very well paced. It doesn't go off topic, and it just sticks to what's going on, the consequences that everybody's facing after the major events of AVX, and where how everybody's moving forward from AVX. It's very good. It's very contained, and it's very. It's the way AVX should have gone. I agree with everybody. AVX could have been told in like 5 issues instead of 12. Why they did twice a month issues. Really, it was 6 months worth of AVX minus a month break in between the last 2 and the 2 before it. They could have told AVX like this, and it would have been done a lot faster and a lot better, in my opinion. AVX was still a good miniseries, don't get me wrong, but there were better ways to tell it. Next couple of books are all ending books or lead-ups to endings, like this one, Avengers 32. And after reading this, You guys should go back and get 31 and just finish it off. It's 4 issues of Avengers, Brian Michael Bendis' last run, and he's tying up all loose ends, and he's ending things with, you know, he's concluding a lot of things, and he's, I don't want to say fixing up, because it's going to sound like I'm saying fixing up, but putting in those last final finishing touches, and I'll tell you guys why after we get to the end of the book. Hank and Tony talk about the signal that came from inner space, and they both have a hypothesis of who it is. And this person in inner space is still running from a gang. We find out it's a gang lord that is chasing after her. Love this page with the Avengers assemble. They assemble actually, where was it? In Central Park. And Hank actually says this is the exact spot where the signal was transmitted from. And everybody's talking about who died in that very spot. And for those of you that read the Skrull invasion, you know exactly who it is, but I'm not going to spoil it till the end of the book. They decide to take a small team of Avengers into inner space and leave the rest of the Avengers in the regular space, so this way if they get stuck, they'll have somebody who'll be able to bring them back. Wildman makes an appearance and actually says, I want to help, let me go with you guys. I might be able to serve, you know, to help. And Ant-Man's like, I'm glad you want to earn your way back, but not with this. I can't risk it, not with this. Because he knows who this person is, and I can't spoil it yet. And Simon's like, understood, all of you, best of luck to all of you. And if Captain America hasn't made it clear for me, I'm sorry, I'm trying. I really am trying. And he goes off. The Avengers that get shrunken are Cap, Iron Man, Thor, who didn't see that coming, and Ant-Man. The other Avengers in this funny panel go, I love how Spider-Man's like, anyone want to swing by Gray's Papaya? And Spider-Woman's like, yeah, sure. And Red Hulk's like, bring me 10. That was a funny panel. While everybody else, well, the rest, Cap, Thor, and Iron Man and Ant-Man get shrunk down to inner space, and it turns out they find out who it is, and it's Wasp, who was trapped. It turns out everybody thought she was dead because of the Skrull War, and as she's about to explain, oh, you think you saw me die during the Skrull invasion? No. You see, that's what happened was, and then basically she gets interrupted with the main person that's going to be, if they want to get out of inner space, they're going to have to go through him, and it's Lord Gozar. I could swear it's Gozer, like Gozer from the X-Men, but it's not. And it's like the Centurion kind of guy. And it has like Ultron's face, sort of, to be continued. 2 issues to go. Wasp is back. That alone, for those of you Wasp fans, you guys should definitely be checking this book out. This is the last miniseries from Brian Michael Bendis. It's only 4 issues, and it's looking up to be, out of this and the New Avengers, this is the stronger of the 2 books right now, in my opinion, just because of what happened or transpired in this issue. 3 issues that are ending. First is Deadpool issue 63. Did not like the artwork. It's the artist that draws people like they have toothpaste for arms and legs.
Just like they did with Spider-Man and Deadpool.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not a fan of this kind of artwork. Long story short, Deadpool versus this guy. I forgot his name. Those of you who read Deadpool know who it is. Deadpool gets his butt handed to him. The woman tries to get her revenge, and basically, Deadpool thinks of everything. He gets out of everything except one thing. The woman tries to suicide bomb him, and he's like, really? Seriously? You're going to do this? And she admits she was a cop, and he's like, you were undercover. How was I supposed to know? Did you volunteer for this? He's like, you roll the dice, you pay the price. You lost. It's not my fault. He's like, geez, lady, get your head out of your bottom side. Nothing from killing me is going to work, and then he thinks he finally gets through to her. He's like, I can't believe that worked. Somebody says it didn't work. And it turns out we're at issue 63, and Deadpool lost his healing factor around issue 50, let's say. Issue 51, 52. 10 issues later, yep. We were all had that bet of how long it was going to take before Deadpool got it back. Evil Pool shows up at the end, and it turns out that that serum that's supposed to work indefinitely, it only works temporarily. That's why, and I love how in his mind he's like, oh, so that's why our face hasn't, and that's why our finger did. Because if you guys didn't notice 2 issues back, Deadpool had his pinky back. That's because his healing factor is starting to kick back in again. The serum was only temporary, and that's basically the big revelation throughout this entire book. Book ends in a bango, and the next issue is in 2 weeks, but it's not issue 64. It's Deadpool, Marvel Now, issue 1. Looking forward to that. Love Tony Moore's artwork. I am not a fan of this artist, and I hate talking bad on any artist or writer, because after being at Comic-Con, you know, and seeing all the work they put into it, I understand, but at the same time, I can't enjoy toothpaste arms.
But it's your opinion.
Toothpaste
and
arms.
And it's how you see it. Other people might see it differently, and others might see it the same as you do. But give them credit where credit's due.
But yeah, main revelation in this book, the Wasp is back. Main revelation in this book, Deadpool's healing factor by the next issue, by issue 1, is back. This book is Captain America 19, the final issue, and this book really doesn't need a rundown. It's a sum up of everything that's been going on with Captain America since the days of yesteryear. And all I can say is, in the beginning of this issue, you think you're reading about Cap Steve Rogers, and it turns out it's not. It's Cap William, I have to get his last name, William Burnside, the Captain America from the 1950s that took over after Steve Rogers disappeared. And he actually blamed Steve Rogers for his misfortunes, and there was a fight between them. I'll show the picture of that later. But I love how Captain America, actually, in this issue, Steve is talking about comic books, and it's ironic he's actually holding the first issue of Captain America.
Oh, yeah.
And he's talking about how Bucky, they did a flashback. He's like, I don't believe it. They made me sound like I'm a stupid kid sidekick. How old am I in this book? 8? And Cap's like, it's for kids, Bucky, to keep the morale up. And he's like, at first, I hated the propaganda. We didn't like the comics or anything. But then I realized, you know, it was important. It was something that was very, very important. Especially after Pearl Harbor. Like, nobody cared about the comics. And then after Pearl Harbor, people started buying it like crazy. It was more important. Propaganda was very important. I believe that's what he's saying. Oh, he believed it was more than just propaganda. It was more. Being Captain America was more than the propaganda, more than being a soldier. It was a lot of things. And he explains all these different things that went on. Then it gets to him and William Burnside actually fighting in the present. And then it just sums up everything that's been going on with Captain America. And he's like, no matter what, there will always be a Captain America. Even when I'm gone, somebody else will put on the uniform. He's like, but for you, William, it's done. You're done. You're gonna be transferred. You did a great job. You were good. You were a good soldier. Now we're gonna move you to another hospital. You're gonna go into a new life, a new everything, and you're done. And someone else is gonna carry that burden for you from now on. And he's like, for as long as I can. And he just rides off into the sunset. This was a good final issue for Captain America. Just amazing final issue. I loved Ed Brubaker's run on Captain America. I highly recommend all 19 issues. It was really good. It was a full run story, all 19 issues. There'll be a omnibus of all 19 issues very soon, I'm sure. And you'll be able to get the whole series in one go. Another book that's over this week is Invincible Iron Man with Invincible Iron Man 527. It takes place right after the events of the last issue. Iron Man shows up. There's a suicide bomber. He shows up in some old armor that he got from the Avengers vault, and he takes out the suicide bomber. You know, people are congratulating him. He's taking pictures, talking with the police, and then S.H.I.E.L.D. shows up. And Maria Hill, there's like this whole talk going on, and it was about him being compromised. And he explains all the events that have happened, or she explains to him all the events that transpired since the end of the last issue, where he came home, Zeke getting a phone from one of Stark's people, I forgot her name at the moment, he wanted to call his girlfriend, and then Tony Stark getting a medal, the Brilliant Star from China for what he had done with Mandarin and everything. He's like, so I made you look bad, I'm in the doghouse now. Maria's like, no, it's not that. How did you get compromised? And he's explaining, it was a code. I was compromised through a source and wasn't able to analyze it before it was uploaded. And she's like, how is that even? And then she realized it was the backup. Once again, connecting this story to a story all the way back. for those of you that got the first omnibus, the story that he's talking about is a story that took place right after. It was right during the Siege of Asgard, where Tony Stark erased his memory, and it was up to Maria Hill and a bunch of people to reboot Tony Stark's memory. And that thing that rebooted Tony Stark's memory was what had the compromised code in it. And the ending was like, how do we know you're still not compromised? How would anybody know? And he gets pissed off and he's like, you know what? Am I under arrest? She's like, no. He's like, then I'm out of here. And he's gone. And the rest of the issue is just him getting, used to. He thinks, now that everything's done, it's like back to the same old, same old. And turns out he took the armor away from Rhodey also. And he's actually in a depression. And he isolates himself. Turns out that he finds out who Zeke called, and it was Sasha Hammer. And he knows that Sasha and Zeke are going to go after Justine Hammer and kill her. And she doesn't listen to Tony Stark, and we're only led to believe that she's basically dead. Good riddance. I didn't really care for the character. If you've been reading since like the second or third story arc, you'd know why nobody cares that she's dead now. Something funny happens 3 pages, and then we get the final page where he actually says, I need a break. I'm going to go on vacation. I'm sorry. I know I've been kind of distant lately. I'm going to go on a vacation. He's like, I need to get my head together a little bit and come up with some new ideas. And he's like, I need a shock into the new. I need something new. I need to be shocked into new. And he actually says, I got to go away for a bit. And Pepper's like, how long? He's like, long enough. Don't worry about me anymore. I'll be fine. He's like, he actually leaves all the flowers because he's like, when people break up with each other, they have flowers. So I bought a bunch of flowers. And he's like, I'm sorry for everything. I'll be better next time around. And that's the end. To be continued in Iron Man #1. I'm looking forward to Iron Man #1. It looks to be really good. Can't wait for the new armor.
Also, we saw an Iron Man 3 movie trailer. And that movie looks like it's going to be really, really good.
Really good. So guys, Iron Man is awesome. However, once again, it's one of those things where you have to have been reading from issue 1, or else you're going to be like, who's this character? What's this character? I'm reading the last couple of story arcs. I'm looking at certain characters and I'm not even understanding who they are because I wasn't there when they introduced them. I bought the Omnibus, which was the first 2 or 3 story arcs. It was the first 20 issues. And then I jumped into the story that took place right after the Omnibus, which is where they were rebooting Tony Stark's memory. Then when Stark Resilient came around and it became like boring, like the story kind of took a boring turn for a bit, I dropped it, and then I came back later on for the last couple of issues after the siege. After the Siege of Asgard, I took another shot at it. I believe I dropped it again for a little bit, and then I came. No, I didn't. From the Siege of Asgard, I've been buying it straight through. I've been buying it straight through. That's right. I bought the 500th issue. And then I dropped it again.
You dropped it and then you went back.
I dropped it again, and then I went back again, yeah. But it's a really good series. I would say read it in whole, though, because those boring parts, or those parts where you're going to be like, it'll just be part of the book, and you're going to go past it, and you'll continue on. These last couple of story arcs were just amazing. I'm going to miss Matt Fraction's work on Invincible Iron Man, but I can't wait to see what's coming next for Iron Man. Okay, and we have 9 minutes left. I'm not taking any chances. We're going to do this book, and we're going to go into a third part, even if we have 20 minutes left. Gambit #4. The final part to the first story arc of Gambit. The girl he's with, whose name is... Yes, please do. Yes, I'm very worried, because this is around the time where we had to cut last time.
Okay, we're good. Just the battery showing.
That's fine. The battery can show all at once. Jolie, it turns out she thought that bringing those 2 starfish together was going to give her the power of God. Instead, it released the power of God from another universe or another plane of existence. And it's this huge dragon that I just showed you guys. Throughout the rest of the book, it's Gambit and Jolene versus the dragon. Jolene gets taken through the portal into the other world. Gambit goes in to save her. I love the part especially where Gambit... before that, fuses his entire body and blows off one of the dragon's heads. He touches his entire body and blows through the dragon. And then the way they actually close the portal, I love it, where he's like, it's always good to go with the classics. Then he uses a playing card to blow off the the key that opened the portal between the Marvel U and whatever world this was. And this girl keeps just setting him different vibes. He's like, you're not from this world, are you? Because you were in that other world, I couldn't breathe. And in that world, the air is very hot, very fiery, so it was hard for Gambit to breathe. And he was dying from it. But for her, it was fine. He's like, what are you? Who are you? And all she says is, I'm Jolene. They have a kiss. She knocks him out, and she disappears.
Oh, it's like kiss, boom.
We then go, he shows up, he arrives at the airport at New York, and it turns out somebody's there waiting for him. Mr. Chick.
That guy looks like the Kingpin. I mean, by the way, the looks and...
And he's looking for Remy to repay his debt after stealing that relic from his collection, which is actually on the cover again for some weird reason. He's like, we're going to settle your debt right now. And that leads into the next issue, and this cover looks amazing. I'm looking forward to the next issue. I'm liking Gambit. You know, I've out of this Hawkeye and Captain Marvel, I dropped Captain Marvel. Hawkeye is a very strong first place. This is a definite super strong second place. You know, it fights with Hawkeye, but Hawkeye is always just, I'm enjoying Hawkeye a lot. Gambit number 4 is a really good read as well. I would definitely recommend you guys check out the first 4 issues of Gambit. It was a fun read. They'll probably trade paperback the first 4 issues for you guys in the smaller trade paperback, see if you guys like it that way, or go back and get the 4 issues. Worth the money, worth the read, really fun, and for those of you Gambit fans, it's something you can't miss out on. And I understand there are 6 minutes left, but there are 2 books left.
Yeah.
And
sorry about the difficulties.
And I apologize. This is like, it's been a thing now, apparently. Even with a pile this big, I'm still going into 3 parts.
Happens.
With no independence, we're still going into a 3rd part.
It is what it is, you know?
Screw it. You got 3 minutes.
Alright.
Can you do it?
Well, hat and shirt. Been waiting for this. The Punisher Warzone issue 1 of 5. I'm just going to sum it up.
Yeah, I mentioned this in the Unboxing Friday video. The package did come on Saturday. With that, with the Walking Dead magazine, and with Marvel Universe versus the Avengers number 1, which I'll probably do a review on Dark Avenger Inc. at some point.
So the Punisher manhunt continues. Yes, I'm going to show that. We start off with Spider-Man in this.
There you go.
Yes. And the cops are looking for the Punisher because in the Punisher issues, they think that he killed the 3 cops, which he didn't. It was this other guy.
Spider-Man turns out, it sounds like a jerk in this. He's like, we gotta capture him.
Well, wait. We're getting to that. Like, he pays a visit to the Punisher saying, like, listen here, you know, you've been doing all these killings and everything, you know, your Merce run is over, you're done. And there's just conversation that's going on, and he says, and unlike you, I know when to quit. And technically he just lots of things happen. Of course, Spider-Man does make it out of there alive, and the Punisher leaves. So we go to the Avengers Tower, where it's Iron Man, Wolverine, Captain America, Thor, and Black Widow. And Spider-Man comes in saying, you know, this has been going on, you know, Frank Castle's been doing, you know, he's a mass murderer, and the cops can't stop him, so we have to stop him. And the Avengers are saying, you know, like, we're not sure, and I don't think that's our business to. And then Captain America, or Steve Rogers, says that Spider-Man is right. You know,
I like the artwork.
Yeah, it's depicting from the movie, actually, of the actor Chris Evans who played it. So he's like saying, by letting the Punisher go free, we are condoning what he does. Basically, we put ourselves above the law. Worse, we're making our own law. So Iron Man and him have a talk about it, and he sends Black Widow to try to find him. And he's like saying, we're good, everybody's good, okay. Then Logan says, you know, Logan...
he asks Logan if he has a problem.
He has a problem. And he says, between you and me, you believe in the best, Captain. And I believe some people deserve to die. So on Long Island, Logan meets up with him, and he just says, phosphorus?
I don't know,
something like that. Like, you killed those cops, and they said, no, what I thought. And then in the end, when Frank Castle leaves the warehouse...
Wolverine isn't in there. He just blows the warehouse he was in up. Wolverine leaves with him.
No, he leaves with him, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why
I thought you said he killed Wolverine.
No, it's in the warehouse. He blows up.
So he knows the Avengers are coming after him now.
Yeah, he's like saying the Avengers are coming after you, and these other pages that are coming out look good, and yeah. Sorry if I was rushing, guys, but more will be definite in the in-depth review. I'll be going more
Yes,
in-depth.
Mike's doing all 5 issues.
All 5 issues will be on Dark Avenger Inc. But guys,
really good.
Really good. Pick this up. I am definitely looking forward to see what the Avengers are going to do, and issue 2, and what have you, and everything else.
Amazing Spider-Man 696. Really good. Kingsley's back, and he knows who the Hobgoblin who killed his brother is now.